Hello, Power Tribe. I'm Murray Dewick,
And I'm Tricia Warren.
and you're listening to Samuel's Mantle Podcast. If you're spiritually sensitive, have dreams or visions, we're here to help you discover you're not crazy. You're probably actually hearing from God.
And when you're hanging out with us, we will help you connect with Jesus, feel his heart, hear his voice, and make sense of the ways you've been hearing from him.
Through practical tools, heartfelt teaching, you will discover that connecting to God is actually your superpower. He has gifted you with the power of the Holy Spirit to connect.
So let's jump in and grow in experiencing him like never before. Welcome to our next episode, Creating Safety for the Spiritually Sensitive.
How to help sensitive hearts feel seen, heard, and understood.
All right, let's open our bubbly. All right, this is a signature part of our show. Yes. The bubbly, it represents the flow of the Holy Spirit. You know how soda water, it kind of is all sparkly and gassy.
Just like my soul.
So that's kind of represents
And
the
your
Holy
soul
Spirit
too.
for us. Yes. So cheers.
I think sometimes it's bubblies if you buy them and they're newer, more newly made, the effervescence even better.
That's the word I was looking for. Effervescence.
Yes. I know.
Yes.
I noticed that you're working your way around it.
I'm
thought
like, what is that word he always uses? All right. Well, today we're going to talk about how when someone is spiritually sensitive, they often feel things deeply, emotionally, relationally, and spiritually.
And with that, I'm going to tell you a story. And I think I have told you this before, so I'm going to give you the short version. But it's very important with spiritually sensitive people to realize they're experiencing the world at a completely different level or way, maybe I should say, than other gifts, right? Because there is what your head does, but there's also what your heart would do. And heart here isn't just your feelings any more than your will is your feelings. Like, I need to do something. I need to fight for myself, right? Or I need to stand up. That's your will. But you wouldn't say that's your head. That's just part of you. So people who are spiritually sensitive, that part of them, if we want to talk the inner man, is your gut brain, as they talk in psychology. That there's actually neurons there, right?
I know,
And
it's
around your heart.
amazing. So, yeah, apparently we have brain tissue everywhere.
Yeah.
And we can feel it in our body.
So I'm going to tell you the story because it'll help, I think, understand a little bit why this is important and what often we miss with each other and people we see in the world around us, especially people who are highly emotive or broken too. So back in the days, I did a thing called God Rock. We worked with street kids and church kids too, but lots of kids off the street, broken families. Really kids from broken families, right? So we called them street kids back in the 90s. And nowadays that word might mean something else. But so, and there's, we got a couple of hundred of these kids. And one night, this guy shows up. Name's Curtis. He's probably a tall guy. He was wearing jack boots, but he had a dog collar on, punk kind of look, shaved head, as I remember it. And his goal was to move to South Africa and join a white militia. And he was an angry guy, but he's only about 18. And he would stand there, rock bands playing worship, a couple hundred kids there, and he'd glower. His eyebrows are down. If you could see the video of this, like a bulldog. So you could tell this is an angry guy, right? But, kind of things went on as normal until about week 3, where the Spirit of God came on this guy and he folded in half like a hinge. His feet came out from under him and he landed on the top of his shaved head on the concrete floor.
Whoa.
Now it was crazy. His eyes were rolling back in his head, so you could only see the whites of his eyes. He was foaming at the mouth. Like I've never seen anything like it, right? Wow. And now people are freaking out. So we took him into the back, to the office, right? To the office area. And I knew his name was Curtis, right? And he was like incoherent. And he was just like, his throat was starting to bulge around that dog collar. He was so angry. And I was like, Curtis, what's going on? And he's just shaking his head and muttering something about his dad. And I felt the Lord say, get him to just say to his dad what he needs to say. And he just goes off like a bomb, screaming at the top of his lungs, Dad, you effing son of a beep, beep, and he's like, why, I'm going to kill you. I'm gonna kill you. So strong feelings, right?
Wow.
And he starts punching the wall as hard as he can. And then suddenly he lets out a sigh. He falls onto the ground and he curls up into the fetal position. He starts weeping. And he's like, I'm living on the street in a cardboard box. I'm so alone, Dad. Why don't you care for me? Why am I all,
Mm.
and God the Father says he's only that angry because he's that hurt. Deal with his pain, the anger will go away. Sure enough, we just loved on the guy, got him some food, got him a place to live. And eventually he became a Christian too. And you know what? When you met him the next time at God Rock, he was a sensitive, gentle, quiet guy. And people are like, who's that? And
Wow.
we're like, Curtis. Wait, what do you mean? That punk rocker, crazy guy? Yep, that's him. And
Wow.
and see, the reason is that people are living out of their life experience.
Mm.
And when we give people advice and we don't understand why they're doing what they're doing or why they're behaving the way they're behaving, and we're seeing them from our life rather than their life. And without that, people feel anybody, but especially spiritually sensitive people they'll shut down on you. Think of this as
Mm.
your kids or your friends or people in your home group. Because, if they have belief systems like I'm not safe, adults are out to get you, men are evil. I mean, not just spiritually sensitive people, but we have to go, why are people behaving the way they are? And we have to step into compassion and,
Mm.
and realize something's happened for this person to be like this and step into compassion. And once we step into compassion, we can kind of slow things down and draw people out rather than tell them who they should be. Right. So I'll give you just a quick example of that. So these street kids, often they'd come in wearing Megadeth shirts and, you know, nose rings and tongue rings and the reason they're doing it, why are they doing that? That's their style. No, they're in pain. Their clothing is reflecting their reality, right?
Mm.
So think of Curtis. So often a lot of conservative churches would say you can only come to church once you grow your hair back, dye it back to its right color, change your clothes, right? But you've just told them be fake. Be a fake
Mm.
human being, stuff all your trauma. It doesn't matter. Just follow rules. Do you think they're going to come? No,
No.
because they don't feel
No.
heard. They don't feel cared for because no one's listening to what their clothing, their body posture, their facial expression is actually saying. There's more language than just people's words. And when you work with people, you need to listen to everything, right? And so with spiritually sensitive people, that's even more so. And and so with that, we're going to just kind of break some. How do you create, if it's your kids, if it's your neighbor's kids, if it's your best friends, maybe your pastor is spiritually sensitive, who knows, right? But we need to learn how to work with these personality types. And today we're going to talk about how to draw out somebody with this gift mix or with this trauma. I'm not saying all spiritually sensitive people are trauma, but we react a lot more, as if we do. I hate to say that, but it's true. So yeah, there you go. It's important to learn these things.
Yeah, and if you don't learn these things and then you go to criticism or pressure or not understanding them, um, you're never going to get anywhere with them because they're going to run. They're not going to want to
Yeah.
be around, right?
And if they're kids and you shortcut it and you say, just do what I'm telling you to do, you might
Mm.
get away with it. But I'll tell you what, when they get older, they ain't going to be talking to you. And because you didn't win the trust and you have to win the right to be heard. And if you don't do it now, when you got grandkids, you might not be meeting them. Right? Because you're not trusted. So you wanna set this up properly that there's good communication. So they think in their heads, you hear me, you understand my feelings, I can trust you with my heart. You want to build that in them with your communication. And in the end, you'll reap wonderful benefits as they grow up, right? Wonderful benefits. And they won't pass the trauma on to their grandkids, right? They won't do it to their kids. And you'll start a whole new thing in your generations. It'll be beautiful.
That sounds amazing. So today we are going to talk about some practical ways to help sensitive hearts feel seen, heard, and understood. And I think the first important one is to always, in a conversation with a spiritually sensitive person, lead with curiosity, not correction. Like, don't spend all your time correcting them. Just be curious.
Yeah, you don't want to start there. I heard a comedian say once, don't say the first three things that go through your head. And it'll
No.
save you a lot of pay. Just don't go into correction right away. And what you want to do is you want to listen for heart intention and not just outcome. And so if you think about that with any human being, you know, when things go wrong and there's an outcome, um, you have to ask yourself, did they intend that for that to happen? Did they plan it to go that way? And if the answer is no, that'll dial your emotions down if you're angry or upset. And then you can be curious. Well, I wonder what their intention was. And that'll start setting you in the right example. Just think person's intention might not be for that outcome. And just think that intention is not outcome. That'll help.
Yeah. And if you're trying to fix them, like they don't spiritually sensitive people, they'll actually shut down if they feel like you're trying to fix
Oh
them.
man.
Yes, or if you're evaluating the situation. You want to always keep that curiosity. So, let's give a couple of examples of what you could say. Let's say you're talking to someone who's in maybe, very sensitive at the moment, and you recognize that, and that we probably need to do a teaching on how to recognize that. But
Yeah.
assuming we all know, you might say something like, "I'd love to understand what you're feeling right now."
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Or you can say, "Can you help me see what this experience is like for you right now?"
You know, I
Or, yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Well, I again, a spiritually sensitive person, even doing sports, like I was really good with hockey and baseball because I grew up with my dad playing it. But when I went to high school, all they had was volleyball, soccer, and basketball. I couldn't make a team to save my life. And my PE coach, because I'd get A's in PE, goes, "What's wrong with you, Duick?" You know, I remember looking at him blankly. I don't know what's wrong with me, and it was that I was picking up how all the other players we're all fighting for a spot on the team, right? So people are judging each other, and once you're on a team and you're a team, it's different. But in those tryouts, where people are judging you and want to be better than you, and you're being evaluated, my body would just shut down. So if somebody would have just said, "Can you help me see this experience is like for you?" How would that have helped me? If somebody would have just asked me that question,
Yeah.
or the other one, what was going on inside when this happened, rather than do better,
Wow.
or why can't you get it together? I didn't know, but I bet you I could have found words for that, and that could have changed my life, I think.
Mine too. I mean, I remember exactly what you were saying, staring at them blankly after they say, "What's wrong with you?" And I remember thinking those exact words. I don't know what's wrong with me, but there's something going on that I can't even put into words. Yeah, so the right question will draw it out, right?
Yeah. I mean, so talking about their experience other than just what they think, right? Because they might not know, they're feeling it. They might feel heavy or confused, or people hate them and they don't know why, and they're experiencing it. So to say, what do you think about this? Is
Yeah.
or tell me why you're doing what you're doing. I don't know why my body's shutting down, but to say, what are you experiencing? Wow, what a
Yeah.
helpful thought.
Very helpful. And then you can also reflect back what you're hearing from the person. So you're just you listen to what they're saying and just go and just before you offer them advice, reflect what they have just said to you. Like it sounds like the environment felt intense and maybe a bit unsafe for you or something like that. Just reflect on what's going on.
My friend Paul Taylor does that to me to stall me out. I'll ask him a question. I say, Paul, what were you, why did you go and, like, for example, why did you go pray for those people over there? So why don't I go and pray for those people over there? And I know why he does it. He's trying to buy time. Like he's just because then I have to wait. And you know what? It's good to do that just for us. If you reflect back what you hear, you won't be giving advice and telling them what they should be doing.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it'll cause you just to shut up long enough to just go, okay, what I'm hearing you say, and it'll keep you listening to them rather than going, well, here's my response to you. Because I don't know if you've ever noticed when you're in an argument with people, half the time we're not listening. You're going to say this. Now, what am I going to say? You're saying it's so learning to do, like as
Oh
Trish said,
yeah.
reflect back. I
What
hear you. Your opinion matters. Your feelings matter. I want to understand. You're sending way better messages,
Yeah, I mean,
you
I,
know?
I actually include that in my dialogue all the time. So what I'm hearing you say right now is this. Do I have that right? It just shows that you're
Yes.
listening, right? And
And I think as a person having someone do that for you, just you go, okay, they're hearing. Then it just dials it all down. That's so brilliant.
yeah, it really helps them feel understood, really.
So I would just say feeling understood for essentially spiritually sensitive person is one of the strongest ways to create sensitivity.
Mhm.
Just having that. And it's weird. I'll tell a story about my dad here, and it's not totally fair, but so my dad's we're Mennonites, right? Work equals love, and he's a real doer, and he's like 88 now or something. So my son's a little bit. He's got a nervous anxiety, spiritually sensitive guy. And I said, Dad, when you come and stay with us on the farm, you can only stay 3-4 days, and Jesse needs a space. He goes, okay, that's fine. Okay, that's good because they have to live in the same place. And so he comes over for dinner after walking around the farm and looking at it, and he goes, you know what? I see all the work that needs to be done around here. So I'm going to put fencing in here, and then I'm going to put rails up here, and then I'm going to run barbed wire here. And I'm going to stay until it's done. Let's go, team. And he gets up and leaves the table. And I look at Jay and I go, welcome to my childhood. It's like, but, so feeling understood is one of the strongest ways to create safety. You know, when you grow up, when that happens a lot, so me and my dad get along good now. We've had some good talks and stuff, but he still flips into that, right? But I mean, I didn't talk to him like from grade 10 all the way through halfway through Bible college, at least, because I didn't feel understood and it didn't feel safe to express my emotion because I just knew he wasn't going to hear him anyway. Right. But, he grew up on a farm. His dad, my grandpa, was a blacksmith, you know, tough group. But if you can just understand you're creating something long term with you and your kids or friends that will reap you benefits, that when something's going on, you'll be the first person they go to because you've created an environment by just
Mhm.
saying, let me say this back to you. This is what I heard. Or,
Mhm.
okay, what are you experiencing? Or very simple things, but you can change family dynamic patterns by doing this.
I know, I
It's pretty
love
cool.
it. I'm just thinking I got to apply more of this into my life. And super important to when someone's explaining their experience or what's going on is to validate their experience. Now,
Mm,
validation doesn't mean you agree with everything that's going on. It just simply means you acknowledge their reality. For example, using the sentence, that makes sense that you would feel that way. Or I could see why that's affecting you deeply, right?
yeah.
And your sensitivity there seems really important. Like those key example sentences can be life-changing for someone because then all of a sudden they feel validated. And it doesn't mean that you agree with them. You're just validating where they are and
So,
you're validating their experience.
I'll give you an example of that. So again, you have to realize what's their intention, right? And,
Hmm.
and the outcome, right? So, and if you want to go back to bed, but we talked about this earlier, belief in a previous episode, beliefs lead to emotions, emotions lead to decisions, decisions leads to behavior, and behavior leads to outcome, right? So intentions, you can sum that all up by intentions lead to outcome. So what's their intention? So let me give an example of that. So a friend of mine, her two kids are in sports. One is 8 and one's 11. And the 8-year-old is on a winning team. I think they even go to the cup in soccer that year and win. While the 11-year-old is on a baseball team that loses every game. And he is super competitive, like just the most competitive kid. Uh, and so it's their birthdays. They're born in the same week. And they decided to take him to Wonderland, like in Abbotsford, that would be Castle Fun Park. But, a place with kind of games and bowling and laser tag, that kind of thing. Right. And there's this claw machine, and you put in a coin, and the claw comes down to grab a stuffy animal, and the 8-year-old wins 4 times in a row.
Wow, that's
Yeah, and he's
impressive.
like, "Wow, yeah, I've never won that thing in my life."
Me
And
either.
yeah, and the 11-year-old doesn't win anything, and he was getting angry and angry, and he started to tear up a little bit. And his mom goes, "You okay?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm just a little jealous that my brother's winning all the time." So they go do some other things, cool off a bit, and on the way back, well, let's try one more time. And of course, the 8-year-old, I think he wins again. And he doesn't. And when they get to the car, he loses it. He's in the backseat crying and bawling and punching the chair. And he's so upset. And and you have to think, okay, why is this happening? So as a parent, you could go, suck it up. We just spent all this money on your birthday. Have a little bit of respect for you could do that, right? So as a spiritually sensitive person, you have just told them your feelings don't matter, that how you behave is far more important than what you believe. Okay, because emotions come from belief systems. What is this kid believing? And he figures it out. It's amazing. As an 11-year-old, he goes, you know what it is? His mom asked, what's going on? He goes, I have to win at everything. Just like baseball. I lose all the time. It makes me so angry. And you know what? My belief that I have to win at everything is causing me to have these emotions, which causes me to make this decision. And I'm having these behavior. I don't like this behavior. I want to change. Right? Can you imagine he figured it out. And to ask people, okay, you're having, what do you, to draw out, what do you believe here in this moment? What's going on? Why does this hurt you so much? And again, what you're experiencing, how does this make you feel, are the right questions, because how someone makes you feel, you could say to this young guy, so why do you feel that way? Right? What are you
Yeah.
experiencing? Why do you feel that way? Right? What I'm hearing from you is, um, why do you think it would be better that if you won more, right? So, I mean, to draw it might take a couple of days, but you see, if you can get at that belief system, strong emotions are not bad if they're telling you something that you can fix. If they're pointing you to something you might not know is there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Instead of change it, instead of like, what is this teaching us? If you look at it differently, it was a huge, massive healing experience for that family, right?
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, cool. Like I can't believe 11-year-old kid. They've done great work with their kids, as you can see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another really super important thing when you're dealing with spiritually sensitive people, always ask for permission before giving advice.
Uh,
And I tell you, that is so true. I mean, I have a really good friend, and this person is super like extreme sensitive, spiritually sensitive.
yeah.
And they're telling me a long story, and in my brain, I have the solution. And I have to do everything in me not to give advice because I know I'm dealing with a spiritually sensitive person. So, because I know advice can feel intrusive to a spiritually sensitive person, especially if
Yeah.
it's not asked for. So what I do is I just listen, and then I will ask the question, would you like feedback, or do you just want me to listen? I've done that many times. And then I just leave my cell phone beside my desk, and about an hour later,
Ha.
yeah, it can be that long. The person really feels like they've been heard, and I'm listening too, but I have to refrain from giving advice. And another sentence you could say is, "Can I share a thought that might help?" So just get rid of the word advice. I have advice for you. Don't say that. Never say that.
No.
No, just say, I have advice for you. No, don't say it. Honestly, it'll make a huge difference.
Huh. There's you can watch it on YouTube, everybody. A video clip about a guy trying to give his wife advice. It's not about the nail. You should just watch
Oh,
that.
that's a great one. I love that one. We should put a
You'll,
link. Find the
yeah.
link. That's a great one. Yes. All right. Well, we should wrap this up a little bit. Let's just talk about, in summary, if you want to draw out a spiritually sensitive person, you want to listen more than you speak. Don't give advice. Reflect what you hear. In other words, just repeat back what you've heard and ask them if you got it right. Validate them. It doesn't mean you are agreeing, you're just validating their experience. Always ask for permission before you give advice, and honor their sensitivity as a gift.
Yeah. That safety grows when people feel heard, respected, and hurried. And you got to think when you're working on your relationships, whether it be your kids, your friends, your spouse, your parents, whatever it is, you're sowing into your future conversations. If you build safety now, later on, you're going to reap a harvest of heart to heart connection. And that is a beautiful thing. And it'll pass down to their friends and their friends and so on and so on. It'll be beautiful.
Great. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If you have rated and reviewed the show, that means so much to us. Your heartfelt feedback always reminds us why we do this. And hey, let's stay connected. Pop over to the website where we have some free gifts for you to learn just how prophetic you are. Find them at samuelsmantle.com.
And if you'd like to get access to the vault where we keep all the good stuff, you can become a partner on the website as well. Remember, encountering God is your superpower by the power of the Holy Spirit. Keep leaning in, and we'll catch you next week.